The seams out of this wheel, they get hard after they get worn down. Like this wheel here, it's a new wheel. They get nice and fluffy. Okay, after this gets worn down, it gets to the stitches. You got to cut the stitches out, open it up, get more life out of the wheel. So let's cut through, cut those out. Take our wheel and just give it a quick rake. Loose. Take the load of Tripoli and we can get on with things. Wash it off with a little mineral spirits, some Dawn. You don't need to get out the industrial stuff for this. You just need to get it clean. You do your thing there, work on that. I'm going to take care of getting those crock pots filled with water and whatnot so we can get those things full when we got all the dents taken out and get those blocks nice and smooth. All right, have at it.
Thank you. This lead pipe for the cornet is just full of dents, so removing all the dents and then we can make it pretty. Estoy sacando todas las cebolladuras que tiene esta pieza para una corneta que estamos restaurando. Yes. Hey, how are you? Fine, how are you? Wax. Wax. Makes a kind of a glaze. It's the oxygen.
Not my prettiest work, but just a little spot right there. Wipe that off. Well, hey there. I just wanted to take a moment and talk about soldering. Ruben and I were just discussing this, and thought it would be something worthwhile to bring to some folks' attention, because like the old jazz standard says, if a cat don't know, a cat don't know. In the case of the way that we're doing like these two Old's cornet and an Old's trumpet that we're overhauling, we just got done doing the lion's share of the reassembly. And one of the things we were talking about is what I was taught, which was how to solder a horn together and minimize the amount of cleanup. We refer to it as clean soldering. And what it is just making sure that your joints and your fittings are really super good, or as good as you can get them. And then when you apply your solder, I mean, there is a certain choreography and order of doing things to keep things at a minimum as far as cleanup. Make sure all of your stuff is dedented really well and polished really well, and then make sure everything fits together properly. In the case of this instrument, we put the lead pipe assembly together first and we clean up as we go. But one of the things about clean soldering is how you approach it. You only want to have a minimal number of points of application. In the case of this particular Olds Ambassador, if you look at it very carefully, you can see that there's a solder point right here and one here. There's one here and there was one here, but we cleaned those up. And then you draw the solder around so that when you have everything done, just a little spritzing with water washes away the flux and you just have a nice silver line. And you do that at all of the points so that you're not chasing after it and having to rag it all out and sand it, and then you just got a big ugly mess. If it gets away from you, take it apart, clean it all up, start over. Don't try and fudge your way through it. But really the trick is to make sure that you're not chasing after things. When you make your application like I did, I applied it here and I applied it here. I apply here and here. And the same with the tail. You can see where it's stained. We solder the bell tail to first valve brace first. Make sure we adjust everything, because that keeps that brace in alignment and keeps the tail parallel with the first valve slide and everything else on the horn. But you tack it on one side, draw the solder through, solder it completely. Then you can shift and adjust your bell relative to the ferrule. The ferrule gets soldered on one side first. That way it is already set in place, and then we can just work around and get our bell aligned, wire it in place or clamp it if you're using a bell clamp. I use both. And then when you apply your solder, you only apply it at certain points. So we aren't having big puddles and stains inside. We want that to be all clean. And then again, once this is all soldered, then we go back and we fix the bell tail and solder it here, draw the solder around. We have a nice clean interior. It's really easy to go into the buffing room and just kiss these areas, a little bit of wiping off beforehand, stains are washed away, and then we can just rag it all out with rouge or Brasso or whatever your choice of interior cleaning materials is. And then you can color buff it all out, and it'll come out looking spectacular with a minimum of effort. It doesn't mean there isn't any effort. I mean, it's still a lot of work, but that keeps things to where you end up really clean. Also, when you're putting a horn together, always go around and all your ferrules and the ends of the tubes and everything, give them all a kiss on the lathe so that they're nice and squared off. You don't want things rounded over. A modeled look is always kind of unattractive on these things. So try to square up your edges before you solder, and then do a minimal amount of soldering. Don't be chasing over it and ragging everything off, because then you take off all the corners and details and the horn looks all kind of, like I said, it's just modeled and rounded over, and it looks like it's been polished. Anyway, just a little bit of food for thought. Y'all have a good day. Okay, hey, how y'all doing? I wanted to touch briefly on one little thing. I always mention to people, about squaring up edges on when they're doing soldering. In this case, we got like a little water key nipple here, and I will be doing the same with the braces and such. What I do is I'll use a file on all of my brace flanges, and you just basically, when you say squaring it up, you go over all of your edges and you square them off. They get worn from buffing and polishing or just use, and over time they get kind of rounded over. Well, if you square them up, what that helps with is, one, it allows the solder to be directed. You can channel it to go underneath, whereas if you've got a razor blade edge on this thing, then the solder will have a tendency to want to jump up onto the flange and just kind of make a big mess. So if you go around and you square up all the edges, and this includes your Z braces and things like that on trumpets. You go around, you square up all of your edges. You can use a safety file like what I've got here. You can use a disc on your bench motor, what have you, whatever works. But this will make soldering go a little bit easier, provided you're using the right amount of heat. The other matter is that when you go to clean these up and you do the light polishing, then you have nice faceted square edges on all your braces, and it just makes things look that much better. This isn't the how-to, it's just how to do it better. So there you go, food for thought. So I got a little bit of a problem here. I had some solder get away from me. So instead of me getting in here with a rag and tearing this all up, I'm gonna use some hex wicking. You can get this from Allied. And I'm going to actually draw the excess solder off. I don't know if Ruben can come around to this side and see what I'm getting after. There's a little spot right in here where we had solder that ran around and it sagged. I got things a little too hot. So I'm going to come in with my wicking. I've got it loaded with flux, and I'm gonna just come in here and I'm gonna pull that excess solder off, just like that. This stuff is amazing once you get the hang of it. And I thank Sue Hall, who taught me about this a long time ago. Anyway, there you go.
This has all the triple E here, so this is helping to make everything clean, presentable. We're gonna do now some ragging with rouge. And after this, we're taking it to the buffing with